2 months ago, I got a message from Dr. Ming Wang out of Nashville, and he connected me to Jennifer. And she connected me to Brian. And then he told me this remarkable story that I had to read its several drafts before I got the gist of it. But anyways, this couple made my job so easy as a publisher. They made me look really good. And so when I read the story, I told Brian, we have to publish a book by the 30th, on the 30th actually, of April, which was the 50th anniversary, the fall of Saigon. And one of the reasons I had a strong connection to it is because my father was a Vietnam-era veteran. Right? And currently has Agent Orange, etc. And after the Vietnam War, he took me to Europe and raised me there my entire life. So there's some symbiosis. And a lot of the kids that I grew up with in Europe were Filipino and Vietnamese and mixtures of that. But anyways, there's several questions I wanted to ask Brian so that you guys have an idea of what the book is like. If I Jennifer, yes. If I was going to lose this sheet is important. Okay, so first of all, Brian, your journey began at just 13 years old when you left Vietnam completely alone. What do you remember most about that first night, alone in the boat, holding a flashlight your brother gave you?
Well, at the beginning of the flashlight, it's just something to shine away. And but when we got stuck on the coral reef, fourth day, and then everything just, we had no food and water and stuff like that. And but at that time, the boat, right? The lights, all the lights on the boat just went out. So except for the one in the cabin. And that night, it was pitch dark, and the rain was pouring down. And then the only way for me to move around was the flashlight. Without the flashlight, I would have stepped on people sitting everywhere. That night, I was cold, hungry, and exhausted, so I needed shelter. So I find a family that using a tarp to shield themselves from the rain. So I decided to join them. So when I crawled under, the man asked me, "Is this Ben?" He thought I was his son. I said, "Yes, this is Ben." So just like that, he let me stay. So it's like a makeshift father right there.
That's great. So you were stranded on a coral reef for 10 days with 358 people. An unimaginable situation. So what kept your hope alive during those darkest hours?
Well, there were times I lost hope, but then I was thinking about my mom's word. She said, "I will live a long life because I was a breech baby. I came into this world feet first. My legs were stuck for so long that they turned black and blue. So the doctor said, this kid not going to make it, might not make it if I pull him out." So after that, my mom decided to let him do it. And lo and behold, I'm here.
You said that you buried most of your experience for decades. What finally convinced you to share your story now? And how did it feel to revisit those memories while writing the book?
Well, for a long time, I kept my story to myself. But over the years, I realized that my story was not just personal, but it was part of a larger narrative of resilience, sacrifice, and survival. I wrote this book to share my journey, where I came from, and to honor the Vietnamese old people who risked everything for freedom, and to also preserve the stories of those who survived and those who never made it. When I was writing this book, when I was writing this book, I got emotional because when I said goodbye to my parents for the last time, and then I was all alone in the boat by myself, and the minute I stepped on the boat and turned around to look at my parents, that was when the enormity of what I was doing sank in. I almost collapsed because I realized that, well, I'm not going to see them anymore. And I was at the point of no return.
The flashlight your brother gave you became a powerful symbol in your story. So can you share more about what that object represented to you then and what it means to you now?
Well, back then the flashlight just something to shine the way. I didn't know that it would represent a beacon of hope and resilience. It reminds me that in my darkest times, a little light can give me strength, and so I could keep going. And also, when I was in the refugee camp, usually we don't like to go to the bathroom during the daytime because the bathroom smells really bad. So we usually like to go at night on the beach, right? But it was so dark, so we needed the flashlight, because without the flashlight, we can step on, what we call golden treasure.
Gosh, I'm sorry, we practiced 3 times and it still makes me laugh to hear him say that. So your story doesn't end with arriving in America. It begins a whole new chapter of struggle and growth here. What was the hardest part of adapting to the life in the U.S. and how did you overcome it?
Well, it was definitely the language barrier and the cultural differences. And I was very lonely because my parents were still in Vietnam at that time. But I overcame it through a lot of counseling and praying. Because my mom said, when you're in trouble, just pray. And I was even bullied at school. But then one day, some students asked me, do you know Bruce Lee? I said, yes. Do you know Kung Fu? I said, yes, even though I don't know Kung Fu. Then after that, they left me alone. Because, back in the early 80s, if people thought that you know Kung Fu, they wouldn't mess with you. Not anymore. Right now, I can't pull that stunts anymore.
Gosh, you found success not only in business, but in music and event production. How did your past, especially your time in the refugee camp, performing music, shape your passion for entertainment and storytelling?
Well, performing back then was not about making money or fame, but it was about bringing people together, lifting spirits, and finding joy in the little circle. It reminds me that, in my hardest times, you can find the power of storytelling and entertainment.
If a young person today, perhaps feeling lost, displaced, or overwhelmed, were to read Flashlight in the Ocean, what message or piece of wisdom would you most want them to take away from their journey?
Well, there are 3 things I want them to take away. Number 1 is the power of resilience. Life is unpredictable. You may face hardships that we never expected, but we can survive and rebuild. Number 2, the importance of hope. Hope kept me alive when I was stranded at sea in the refugee